Hi there and welcome to my channel. I am Brittany Flammer. I am a certified financial coach and I like to share videos all about budgeting and money saving tips to help you and your family. Today I'm going to share with you our budget report or wrap up for July. Now that July's over, this is exactly how much we spent in every category for the month of July. These are probably my least popular videos, but I still like to share them because this is how I handle it in real life. Because in July we had a family vacation, we had a family reunion, we had unexpected car expenses, we had a ton of transactions for some house projects that we're working on. And we went over budget in some of our categories. I'm pretty good at planning, but we still went over budget in some of our sinking funds. So I'm going to show you how I handle that on a monthly basis because that's life and that's what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my spreadsheet and you can, here, I will include a link right here. If you're interested, you can grab my template and my Etsy shop. But go ahead and get started. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. I will answer them live here, or if you have questions after the fact, I will answer them. I try to get through the comments as quickly as possible. We have had a lot more transactions this month than normal. And so it's so much easier if you keep up on your transactions and categorize them throughout the month. Doing them at least weekly is so much helpful, so much easier. If you wait till the end of the month, you will not remember what you spent on Amazon or wherever at Costco, and you can look it all up, but it's just easier if you do it when it's fresh of mind. So we had a ton of transactions, so I tried to stay on top of it, but even so, we also had some fraudulent activity on a credit card, had to close an account. There's just been so much that has gone on this month. So getting into it now, here is our budget for the month. My husband is salary, so we budgeted $5,833. He got paid $6,241. He is a teacher. They do some extra trainings and workshops, and sometimes they do extra things to earn a little bit of extra money. He never knows when he's actually going to receive the money. Half the time he doesn't even tell me. It's when I ask him, why did we get extra this month? He's like, oh yeah, there was something a month ago. So I don't ever count on that. He did get a pay raise. I didn't think it went into effect until August, but his pay raise was included here. So he took home $400 more than we were planning, which is a great problem to have. Then my business took home $1,600. My husband's take-home pay, this is after health insurance and taxes have been taken out. My take-home pay for my business, I don't have any insurance or anything taken out, but I do set aside some money for taxes. So this is after money has been set aside for taxes. This is what actually gets deposited into our account, our personal account. So $1,600, and then interest. Our money, we have a lot of money in online savings accounts, and I don't plan on it. I don't budget it because it's technically income, but I don't count it as income. I just let it sit in those accounts and accrue. So we had $200 and that. So our total income was much higher than normal, $8,044. Which is awesome. I love having that problem. Our tithing, we went over budget by $225 because we pay on our gross income. My husband got paid more than we were expecting. I got paid more than expected. So we donated $1,125 for the month. Then we move on to our expenses. I start mostly with the boring fixed have to pay and then move on to the ones that are more fun. And then I'll get to the sinking funds, which is where we went way over this month. Mortgage was exactly what was expected at $1,376. Electricity was exactly what was expected. We are an average payment plan, so it was $23 for the month. Our natural gas was only $90. We are on an average payment plan, but they've reevaluated it and lowered our bill, which how often does that happen? That rarely happens, right? But now our bill is now going to be $90 a month for the next few months till they reevaluate again. Our city bill, we stayed under barely at $190. Life insurance, but it's been so hot. And we have we have 3/4 of an acre and it's not all green lawn, but a lot of it is, and it's been so hot. So next month our water bill is going to be crazy. Okay. Life insurance, $11.10. That's fixed. That's my term life insurance. Car insurance, it was $101.91. Phone bill, $30 for the month. Internet, $55 for the month. Gas, we did go over a little bit at $312. We did have a bunch of family reunion, and I mentioned a vacation. Our family trip, we took a road trip, went down to Mexico. So the gas for that, I took out of our vacation budget. But our family reunion was like 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours away. I didn't take that out of our vacation budget. We just went over a little bit for gas for this month, which is going to be fine. I'll show you how that will work out in the end. Piano and guitar. Our daughter took piano off for the summer. And then our son, we have a neighborhood girl, high school girl that we love that's teaching our son guitar. And she doesn't do a monthly fee. It's just a per lesson fee. And she was gone a couple of weeks. And the week she was home, we were out of town. So he didn't have any lessons this month, which is sad because he actually practiced a little bit. So we didn't pay anything there. So groceries, okay, we went over by $46. We spent $821. We're a family of 7. We have 5 kids ranging in age from 15 down to 5. And I was so happy. It was almost the end of the month. We just had a few days left in the month, and I was under budget by like almost $200. But then we had a bunch of Amazon subscribe and save that we haven't had in several months. I kind of forgot about them. We had them all come through, like toilet paper, flossers, a bunch of things that I just had forgotten about. So that all came out of our grocery budget because I include all of our consumables in our groceries, like our bathroom supplies and cleaning supplies also go into our groceries. So we had all of that come out, and then a neighbor, someone from church, has access to pears. So you can buy pears in bulk for a much discounted price. So I spent like $88 on a bunch of big, huge boxes of pears. Wasn't planning on that. So I just pulled out of my grocery budget. So I went over by $46. So I was really proud. I was actually going to stay under budget because that has not happened a lot lately. But it didn't happen. And then also before one of our trips, I had a bunch of last minute things. I ran to the store, and of course I went with my kids, and we ended up spending a lot more than we needed. So anyway, bad planning on my part. Eating out, only $3.58. I think that was like Costco, 2 hot dogs maybe for some kids. I don't even remember what that was. Miscellaneous, $22.81. We budgeted $25. Entertainment, we went over. We had a nephew visiting unplanned. So we did a few things that I probably wouldn't have done with just my kids. And that's okay. It worked out. We had fun, but we did go over budget there. Kids money, only $10. Our oldest 2 are the ones that usually do their jobs and actually make some money. And we were gone for so much of July that they hardly got paid. And one of our daughters, between church camps and sports camps, she was gone a lot. So she didn't do her daily stuff. And babysitting, we were too busy playing to go on dates and have our kids babysit. So total expenses, we went over in a lot of categories, but we were under in a lot of categories. So overall, we only went over by $19. So yeah, we went over on gas, but that doesn't worry me too much because we were under on our miscellaneous and under on our eating out. So I don't worry so much about each individual category. If I'm constantly going over, then like our gas, here, maybe I should increase it next month. Or our groceries, maybe I should increase it. But I'm more worried about the overall, not the individual categories. Debt, we have no outstanding debt. We do have a mortgage, but I count for that in our expenses. So we use credit cards, but we pay them off each month. So if I had an outstanding balance on the credit cards, I would include it here in the debt section, but we don't have that. So I'm going to move on to our to our savings and sinking funds. Our emergency fund is fully funded, so I did not add anything to it. But a lot of it's in an online savings account, so it earns interest. So this is the interest that it earned for the month, almost $74. So I didn't spend anything out of it. So now we have just over $16,500 in that emergency fund. My husband, we budgeted $50, put $50 into his fund. He has a separate checking account. He didn't spend anything, so he has $868 in there. My fund money, I budgeted $25. I put $25 into the account. But I did spend $49. I don't even remember what I bought. I bought a shirt for myself that I didn't really need, and I don't remember what else I bought, but I spent $49. And so now I have almost $80 left in my personal fund money. Life insurance, we budgeted $68. We put $68 into the account. We didn't have to pay our life insurance. This is for my husband's term policy. So we're just letting it add up. So at the end of the year when we do pay, we've got the money. So we're at $622 now. House maintenance, we budgeted $125. We put in $125. We spent $119. I was so excited we were going to start accruing money again, but something always breaks. This was something for our water pressure. Some part my husband had to buy. So now we have $36 left in our house maintenance fund. Vacation, we budgeted $150. We ended up putting $166.77 in. This was the $150 we put in plus interest in some online savings accounts. Then we spent $1,560. So we have $573 left in there. This $1,500 that we spent, we did have a family reunion. We had already paid for our lodging, and we just divide up the meals. So I was just in charge of one meal, so that just came out of our grocery budget. We did pay for an entrance fee into something, and I think we bought a magnet. That's like all we spent for our family reunion. And then for our family vacation, we went to Mexico. We drove, so the gas for that's pulled out of this. We did eat out once or twice. We did get some souvenirs. We did pay for our Airbnb. Part of it had been paid in an earlier month. The bulk of it came out in July. So that's why we spent so much. But that was a 5-day family vacation to Mexico for $1,500 basically. So we have $573 left in there. Our house updates, we didn't budget any, but then any money my business makes goes into this. So we put $1,371 in there, but we spent $11,000. So we are building a garage with an apartment above it. Some of the expenses, my husband was gone almost all of June, so we didn't do anything on it. So he got back. The days we were in town, we worked on it. We spent a lot. The rough plumbing is finished, the rough electrical. My husband did a lot, but then we paid some professionals to finish up, make sure everything looked good. We paid for the insulation. And we bought all of the siding and paint. We're installing it and painting it ourselves, but we paid for all of that. So we're now down to $13,366 in that account. So we're going through it fast. Okay, clothing, budgeted $75, put $75 in, spent $23. So we got $117 left in that, which is not very much for 5 kids going back to school, but we'll make it work. Gifts, we budgeted $25, put $25 in, then we spent $25, chipped in on a gift for my mother-in-law. So $17.12 is all we have left in there. Medical, we budgeted $100, put $100 in, didn't spend any. We have $16.64. Our daughter, our 13-year-old, is now ready for braces, and we got the quote. They're going to be like, if we pay for them up front in cash, it's like $4,300. So we have $1,600 in here. We also have money on an old HSA card from a previous employer. We are going to combine the two to pay for her braces. Car expense, we budgeted $75, put $75 in, but then we had some unexpected car expenses. So we spent $465 on our car. We had not planned on any of this. Something was wrong with our brakes. So my husband had to buy a couple of parts. He did the work himself. So he saved us a ton of money, but still $450 that we hadn't planned on. So we only had $183 in our account. So you can see down here, we're now negative $197. So this account, it's a sinking fund. I have a separate online savings account with this in it. So I can't go negative 200. So I have to pull the money from somewhere. So I will show you in just a minute how I do this. Christmas, we didn't budget any, didn't put anything in, so we still have 163. Then kids extracurricular, we budgeted 345, we put 345 in. That was supposed to be plenty for everything we needed, but we ended up spending over $1,000. We had last of the fees for a kid for soccer. We did have to buy some jerseys, like practice jerseys and things for soccer. But then it was our son's birthday. And normally we spend like about $30 comes out of our regular monthly budget for their birthday. We ended up buying him a bike, and we got him a brand new, it was almost $500 for a bike, which is more than I have ever paid on a bike for myself. But we debated, we hadn't saved up, we weren't planning on it. So we knew we were going to go over budget, and we discussed where we were going to pull that money out of. But so we spent $1,074. So we would be negative $364. So the way I do these sinking funds is I have an account in an online bank, and these are all different buckets. So it's almost like they're all their different accounts. So I put like this $345. I transferred out of our checking, moved that into our sinking fund, to the online savings account for that sinking fund. So for all of our kids' extracurricular expenses, I do that the first day of the month, automatically goes into that account. And then throughout the month we spend, but I put it all on our credit card and then we pay off their credit card at the end of the month. So I put it all on the credit card. And then at the end of the month, like the last day of the month, I figure out how much we spent for the month. And then I will transfer that money from our sinking fund back into our checking account to pay the credit card bill. So if I were to today go in and transfer this $456 and this $1,074, I would be negative. So I can't do that. It's not possible. So the money has to come from somewhere. So I will show you if we finish going through, we put 400 to my Roth IRA, 400 to my husband's Roth IRA, and 100 to our investments. So if I look at the overall budget, I still, because we had higher income than expected and we're under budget in some categories, I have an extra $400. So I'm looking at this, that will cover our kids' extracurricular, the amount we went over. So that $400, I'm actually going to come and put into my kids' extracurricular fund. So that extra 400, whoops, I did that wrong. No, I did that right. Okay. So if I add that 400, the extra 400 we had for my budget, I put that extra 400 into the kids' extracurricular. I still spend $1,074. That means I now have $35 left in the account. And our kids have been expensive. We've been spending a ton on them. I'm okay with that. So now I'm out of money for the month though, and I'm still negative about 200. So we have to pull it out of somewhere. So my husband and I, after talking about it, we decided we were going to pull this out of our vacation fund. So what that looks is I'm going to add 200 here. So instead of putting 75 in, I'll put 275. But then I have to pull it out of our vacation fund. So I'm actually going to spend, it's like I'm spending 200. So I'm spending an extra 200 out of our vacation fund and putting it into our car expense fund. So if I do that, I now have $2.33 left in there. So now I will have to go in and actually transfer that money from our vacation fund into this so that we can pay for our bills. I hope that makes sense. Maybe that seems a little bit complicated. I don't know. That's just what's worked for me, so I'm sharing it. I'm a very visual, so I know a lot of people will just put all of their sinking funds into one savings account. And they just like keep a spreadsheet of how much is in what. If that works for you, that's great. I just like the visual separation. So I like online savings accounts like Ally or SoFi or Wealthfront, where you just have one account, but you can visually separate the money. So I like that. But it complicates it. If I go over in one budget, I have to actually move it from another. So that's how I handle whenever we go over our budget category. That's how I handle it. I just pull it out of somewhere else. So we now have less in our vacation fund so that we could cover all of our expenses. Now I should be aware in the future, maybe I probably should be adding more to our kids' extracurricular because we're constantly running low in that. Our car expenses, we just barely registered and oil changed all of our cars. So we just keep the money in there for basic maintenance, and we weren't expecting a $500 break. So if we didn't have the money, that's when you could pull it out of your emergency fund. But I would, rather than touch our emergency fund, I'd rather pull it out of another fund that we have extra in. So that's how we handle it. My recommendation, keep track of your transactions throughout the month. Don't wait till the very end of the month because you won't remember what happened, what you spent the money on. It gets complicated, you give up. So I like to do weekly updates. And so that's what I usually do once a week. Sunday's our day. I plan the next week. I look back at last week, how we did, make sure everything's categorized, make sure I haven't forgotten any transactions. It doesn't matter what type of budget you use. I love the zero-based. I like the spreadsheet. If the spreadsheet doesn't work for you, then use a budgeting app. But I use the same method. You have to budget at the beginning of the month, and then at the end of the month, you have to see how you actually did, because creating the budget's only half of it. You have to follow the budget, and it's never going to be perfect. I've been doing this for years, and you look, several categories there, we didn't have enough in them. So you make adjustments for the next month as you go. You just make adjustments. If you have any questions, I don't see any questions in the chat box. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I will answer them as soon as I can. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed. I've got a bunch of videos on different investing apps and online banking accounts coming up in the near future. But thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.